проведем на английском языке. Она будет, в основе ее будет лежать книга, изданная недавно и подготовленная коллективом авторов из разных стран по проблемам, международным проблемам глобальной энергетики. И сегодня мы выстроим нашу дискуссию, отталкиваясь от этого издания, которое будет продолжаться. Это ежегодник, который выходит каждый год. Я сейчас перейду на английский язык. And let me introduce our guests and the people who made this project possible, and who are the founding fathers of this extensive and vibrant intellectual exercise on global energy. Mr. Stefan Rowe is the head of International Legal Systems company, as well as a number of other projects and businesses. If you ask me where Mr. Rowe is based, I will geographically I will be confused because his company has offices in several countries, and the modern trend is that today is when you have offices in Hong Kong, in Switzerland, in London, and in Moscow, and in several other countries, it's really hard to find yourself constantly at any place. And Professor Joseph Mifsud, who is the head of London Academy of Diplomacy, and we got acquainted occasionally, but I think this is one of the cases when the luck was on my side, because this cooperation gave a birth to a number of interesting initiatives among our institutions. And let me say a couple of words about this project. You will correct me if I'm wrong in your introductory speeches. This is a unique edition and a unique project because it provides an annual highlight of the global energy issues, and it is composed of the expert team of an international kind. So this is not just a view of a specific, let's say, national team or institutional team. This is a product of institutional international cooperation, and I'm not a modest person, and I must confess that this year I became a co-author. I have a privilege of being a co-author, one of the co-authors of this volume. And let me introduce Professor Vladimir Likhachev, who is the deputy head of the Institute of Energy Studies of Russian Academy of Science, the leading Russian expert on energy issues. Vladimir Ilyich, I am very grateful for you for coming and for providing your feedback on this project, and for your contribution. We really value your attitude to us and the experience of our cooperation. So I propose the following logic of our today's meeting. I will give the floor to three our guests. So I will give the floor to Professor Mifsud and Dr. Rowe. Then I will provide the floor to Professor Likhachev. I think 10 minutes for each, well, 10-12 minutes for each must be enough. And then I will open the floor for a discussion, and we will ask our guests for their comments on the questions and your comments you are providing to us. So, who? Yeah, Professor Mifsud, floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Ivan. First of all, thank you for coming to this session, and thank you, Professor, for being here as well. I'm very, very pleased, as Ivan has mentioned. It was a pleasure for me to meet with him. Now we've met in different countries, in different places, so we have been sometimes running into each other at various conferences. But I also met, it's actually interesting, that Dr. Roh and I met as well in one of these meetings, one of these conferences, some time ago, organized where diplomats were meeting business leaders, and also something else which I think is important, also thought leaders. So we had thought leaders, business leaders, and diplomats or political leaders. May I say that sometimes one group is not necessarily a member of the other, but sometimes they are mixed in the sense of what they do. Now this book, I am just back from Rome, flying in here from Rome. The Italians are preparing the G7 presidency at the moment, which will take place in 10 days' time in Sicily. So they brought a group of thought leaders to think about what are the priorities the Sherpas could take to the discussion of the 7 leaders that will be meeting in Sicily. This exercise was done in 2009 as well. And I was part of that. It was a different Italian government. It was going to be done in Sardinia. Then there was the L'Aquila earthquake, as you remember, and the whole thing was taken to L'Aquila, where this meeting took place. Some leaders, political leaders, and presidents from other countries were also invited to the L'Aquila meeting. But what is interesting is that during this session, I reminded the people of the priorities and the conclusions that were put in front of the G8. Then, 2009. We are in 2017. I must say that many of these conclusions and many of these items are, and we were discussing for 2 days in Rome, to come up with a document which will go in front of the 2017 leaders, very, very similar to the one that was discussed and approved in 2009. So, have things not changed from 2009 to 2017? And it took these 100 people, 100 experts from all over the world, about 2 days to come up to the conclusion of these items. Yesterday, I was at Lomonosov, Moscow State University, giving a lecture on migration to students. And I asked the students, what do you think should be the priorities that we would discuss today? It took them 20 seconds, honestly, 20 seconds, to come up with the same answers that people had been debating for a 2-day meeting to prepare for the G7. So it seems, of course, the topics are very, very easy. The themes are 4 or 5 topics are easy in the sense what we have in front of us. Migration is a big issue, and you will find in this book reference to migration. People might say, why is migration and energy being associated? I think there is quite strong links, and if you have a good look at this, at the text, as Ivan has mentioned, this was not done by one person or with one. Everybody was free to write whatever he or she wanted, as long as we remained within the parameters. It's like a photo taken between 2015 and 2016. This book is pre-Trump election, pre-French election, but post-Brexit. So this is the period that we're talking in. So energy, migration, security is a huge issue. Human security, because of obviously tied either with one or the other. Energy security, human security, migration, and security are very, very closely linked, as you might imagine. Then the other big topic, which everybody sometimes speaks about, but sometimes does not speak about when we're talking about migration and security and energy, we also add one, how would I call it, bridge which is there and sometimes is discussed and sometimes is not discussed, and that is the whole issue of climate change and the discussion in Paris. That was the document which was signed. Even today, if you look at newspapers or the media today, you will see a lot of announcements being given by a number of people. In the book, you will have different takes. What does oil-producing countries actually think about energy? Does it impact migratory flows? Does it have issues in terms of security? Will it change the way, for example, countries govern their energy issues? For example, will they wish to diversify? Is it a big issue? Yesterday, most of you must have read this. There was the meeting of the Arctic group, the Arctic Council, which also discussed this. And there are many issues which are tied together. It is interesting, if I may, also to put it. Sometimes we use the word terrorism or security. We have in the world today, 2017, perhaps more hotspots than we had in 2009. However, you must remember that during that period, we also had how would I call it? Almost just after that, the beginning of the Arab Spring started coming up, or what is called the Arab Spring. Now, these are issues. There has been changes in the way that people have been operating in different countries. But the items, the agenda of many of the states has remained, in my opinion, the same. What is interesting as well, and you will find some references to this, is also the creation of the non-state actors, which have become stronger and stronger. Now, nobody seems to be able to understand how to act or react to what non-state actors, especially in the areas of security, but not just in security, if I may. Non-state actors are now present in these 4 different dimensions. You have non-state actors operating and criticized, for example, also in the migration issues. I don't know if you followed, but NGOs, especially those operating on the 2 routes, but mostly on the Libya route because of a hotspot. We have no country in Libya. There's no state. There's no state operating in Libya, which also, by the way, has all the issues which I have just mentioned. It has migration coming in. It is the repository or depository of oil and energy, which is, I think, important. It is also, security-wise, is one of the most difficult because without any borders, with its translucent borders or very flexible borders at the moment, and no government, this has created huge issues. The other thing is, if I may spend a word on the having an EU passport. Let me just spend a few minutes speaking about that. It's also, in a way, on the demise, in a certain way, of the European Union. I would use the word demise. The European Union is, and you will see some references to this in this book. Apart from the grand actors, the idea of a multinational cooperation or a project of the type of the EU, I believe that after Brexit, this has to be rethought. Even the election in France has not really changed things. Many of the countries within the Union itself have different objectives. They are trying to achieve these objectives working in a different way. And many countries are finding, and perhaps this has an impact on the type of global energy and on the crisis exit, which is finding their way on their own, in a bilateral manner. I always compare the EU to a patient who is extremely ill, and he or she is being given only aspirin to get better, when it needs major surgery. So this is where we are at the moment. It's just a photograph of many things happening. energy sources, energy providers, the security issues, migration, and in the background there is also the agreements that we are trying to put in for climate change, when some of the actors are actually quite sick. I wouldn't say it's a positive or negative picture. The only thing that I will stop here is, will we in 5 years' time, 6 years' time, come again, perhaps not for the G7 or the G20, because also now there will be in Hamburg the G20, will we be discussing again the same things that we are discussing here? If we take a photo within 2 years, will it be the same? Already with the 2 elections, I believe, in France and the United States, I was at a meeting at the Heritage Foundation just after the election, and the 2 of the issues, energy and climate change, were for sure now we will change these. And you can hear now, today, the expression saying perhaps we should take some time before we decide. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Joseph. Stefan, would you?
Yes, I'm very happy to be here. Thank you very much that we have such a great attendance for our book. Maybe just to put it into context, ILS Energy is a Hong Kong-based consultancy company, which is offspring of my Swiss law firm, international law firm. We have been dealing since many years in the energy sector. We have an office, for example, as well in Moscow, China, in Beijing, Dubai. We are practitioners in energy. We are involved in deals. We do investments. We do and advise and help trading and technology in different types of energy, in oil, gas, nuclear, and others. So, out of this, yes, we developed the think tank under ILS Energy, which is studying with our professionals, with our partners, with scholars, with other think tanks. We are researching and studying today's themes in the energy world. So we have global energy as a compendium or a summary of topics which we think are the hottest topics during a certain period. And we do this for periods since 2007. 2007 we started, and we publish every year our hot topics, I would say. And as Professor Mifsud just before said, yes, hot topics, there are every year and every moment new hot topics. And the new topic of Trump's election is not yet dealt in this book. Unfortunately, it was printed before we had the election results. Yes, and other hot topics which are just recently arriving, they are not in this book. But of course, this basis is something which is a mirror, a summary of the last year until maybe still into this year's main important themes. So I really invite you to have a look into this, where we go into different regions, continents. We look into Asia. Of course, we have one chapter on Russia, in particular with the help of our friends. We have Middle East. We have the hot political themes like migration. Of course, financial crisis is probably the basis of what also the energy world experience. We have a very much focus now on China. There's one chapter in it about the Chinese expansionary policy and views, which is called One Belt, One Road. Yes, OBOR, One Belt, One Road, which is the summary of the Silk Road initiative of the new president of China. One Belt, One Road is something which Russia in particular has to consider as an important incident on the Chinese-Russian relationship. And I'm afraid, and I wonder if the concept of One Belt, One Road is well known, even maybe here in this public can I ask maybe one or two persons, maybe in one sentence, to summarize what is one belt, one road? Are you able to, maybe, do you know exactly what it means, one belt and one road?
I will show a map in my presentation.
Very well.
If you want.
Maybe.
Sorry, one comment. All 80% Chinese don't know certainly what is one belt, one road.
You're absolutely right.
They associate as second Silk Road, but it's not Silk.
Exactly. The
Also
concept,
80%.
I would say 90 or 99% of the Chinese population doesn't know. Doesn't know. And I'm afraid, same for the West. Probably the concept of one belt, one road is so unspecified, voluntarily unspecified, that it is open to many possibilities without really giving a clear way of handling or understanding for the Western world, but maybe even for the Chinese world. Maybe even President Xi Jinping doesn't know 100% what it means. Just today there was an article in the website of CNET comparing the one belt, one road concept or word to what the Western world considers, for example, under freedom. When they speak politically of freedom, they have also a certain concept, but nobody really can define it in 100% in terms. And one belt, one road, as it has become so much as an ideological element in the policy and politics of China, but it's probably the same approach towards this undefined or not definable element in policy. Anyway, we have started to look into this. We have researched in this, and I can confirm that it's not really easy to frame it, to find exactly what it is. Yes, there is a concept of foreign investment, outbound investment. There is a concept of political relation building. There is infrastructure. There is transport. There is energy. The concept itself for the energy world is not yet clear. Of course, China is including in this one belt, one road initiative most of the energy producing countries in its neighborhood. Central Asia, Russia, Middle East, they are all included into this concept. For what, how much, how far? Not understandable, but China has a very long-term perspective and very flexible long-term perspective. So they will probably define this strategy in a way that's according to the needs and then according to the opportunities. The Silk Road in the energy world will then allow China to play the right games with the right partners at the time. So there is a strong will of China to go out, and this includes the energy world. Okay, this is one of the very hot topics, and definitely which we are going to discuss in our next edition. Following to this one, China will be and will always be a very important. I think I will stop here with regard to this and pass on.
Thank you very much, Stefan Vladimirovich.
Thank you, Ivan. It's my pleasure to be here in Russian Council of International Affairs. As always, it's very interesting meetings. And today I would like to say some words about this project, Global Energy. And let me express some ideas about this project. First of all, I focus on the extreme situation during 2015, 2016, global financial crisis, low energy prices, which means low energy production, worldwide economic recession, which means low growth rate of energy demand in the world, international conflicts around the world, and for Russia it means isolation and some kind of isolation and sanctions on important sectors of Russian economy, including energy. Middle East migration and terrorism, and Brexit. Some of these problems more closely related to energy, global energy issues, some of them less on my point of view, but general impression. It's a great job, very interesting scope of articles. Well, some of them are questionable regarding global energy, in my point of view again. Main basis, international relations, role of diplomacy and political science. Global and regional energy problems are considered from the above-mentioned points of view more political rather than economical, let's say. And my main focus, my main idea, growth of uncertainty. And this point, I think it's a key point on this very good project. So, I can formulate from this point of view two questions for energy and political analysis. How to forecast the future, energy future, and the question about is it possible to renovate or born new formats of international cooperation in energy field. Well, first point, well-known phrase of Marshal Helmut von Moltke Jr., First World War. No battle plan survives contact with the enemy. We can reformulate it a little bit. No energy strategy survives when it contact with real life, immediately after publication. What about the future? We can use, and everywhere can use, traditional naive forecasting. You know the story about Thanksgiving turkey. It's a left picture. Very good life during 1,000 days, and Turkey assumes that it will be in the future too, but Thanksgiving Day and surprise. The second point, we cannot assume, or nobody assume, stories about black swans. Usually, to decide this problem, everybody uses scenario-based projections, and these projections are formulated as a projection of what could happen and not predictions of what will happen. It's a very important point. And this scenario elaborated by International Energy Agency, Ministry of Energy of United States, MIT, European Commission, BP, Shell, and during the last 4 years, a Russian site prepared our Institute, Energy Research Institute of Russian Academy of Science, together with Analytical Center of our government, prepared world energy forecasts. Main drivers for energy markets development, usual things, economic growth, population, world energy prices, new technologies, including exploration, production, transportation, consumption, energy policies in the world and on the national level, and less, practically nobody consider policy, international relations, political tensions, so it strongly needs such books, such approach, global energy approach. When we construct our scenarios, nobody less think about politics, more in terms of growth rates, of million of population, of million of ton of oil, etc., etc. And nobody can calculate or put in the different scenarios different aspects of political relations in global sense and in energy too. Now, just for example, last BP forecast, 2017, quite clear picture, growth of renewables, it's the first position, oil coming down, coal too, gas more or less positive growth rates, and some kind of nuclear development, not everywhere. By regions, oil production practically stabilized for the future in Russia, or maybe will decrease. United States will increase, Middle East, OPEC will increase their production. Very important thing about oil production in Russia, for example, it's another hot point. The oil field which already exists will go down very sharply, and Russian energy company have to go to the shelf, offshore, to Arctic, to very difficult fields, something like that. What I think, so, just a moment, and if we will see this, we will think about this focus, these scenarios, it's very difficult to assume what kind of political tensions or political problem will play the role on the future. Now, about international cooperation in energy. Of course, no doubt, it's a sustainable development, COP21, Paris Agreement. Another problem, energy technologies, including new materials, IT, etc., etc. Global energy infrastructure projects, One Belt, One Road, which already mentioned, and global energy grid. By the way, Chinese colleagues include this global energy grid project in the same pack of One Belt, One Road, or now Arctic, I think, very important things, including energy, including environment, including social things, everything, and capacity building, fundamental sciences, engineering, economics, management. Very important point. Now, focused about carbon emission and carbon and some components of growth of carbon emission, and it's also BP focus, and you can see the difference in the scenarios which provided by BP and International Energy Agency. So we have to think not as Turkey, we have to think as people who want to reach special goal, if we want to decrease carbon emission. Now, of course, it's a very hot point about One Silk, One Road project, and very important thing, how this infrastructure project will influence on international affairs in energy markets too. Maybe you know the joke that when UK construct interconnector to continental Europe, they start to export not only gas, they start to export ideology of liberal markets, energy liberal markets. It was very interesting point, and Europeans talk about that. Now, Arctic region, we have low prices, we have sanctions, we have a lot of problems, and you can see on this slide that recent projects now or questionable or closed because it's they are working in not good environment, let's say. Low prices, political tensions, regulatory barriers, new technologies, again sanctions and financial sanctions. These all issues not provide possibilities for extensive Russian Arctic energy development. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Vladimir Lvovich, for an extremely extensive presentation. I think that your point about the fate of Turkey is critical. Unfortunately, we are reflective beings, so we can reflect on our goals and fate, unlike the Turkey which is being grilled. I'd like to express my gratitude to all of our speakers today for their brave-heartedness and vibrant replies for comments. And my special thanks to Professor Likhachev for his feedback to the book. Your feedback would allow us to make it more extensive and interesting, more deep in the future. Thank you very much.